they will have it. Okay, great. So we are recording. This is our Outlook 2016 Quick Start Guide. I am your host for the day, Neil Zimmerman. Don Pardo, my announcer, is on vacation, so you just have to deal with me. What we are going to be doing today, we're going to be talking about the new features of Outlook 2016. The Outlook window, how to deal with attachments, rules and quick steps, how to create and manage signatures and out-of-office messages, how to create appointments and meeting requests, and then working with contacts, creating personal contacts and groups. These were sort of the hot-button topics that Jerry had asked me to address. So without further ado, that is what I am going to do. I'm going to move Outlook into the presentation window, give it a moment for you guys to be able to see that. And this is Outlook. This is not my personal Outlook. This is actually Outlook from a group that I belong to. I do some marketing work. Let's see, who is not on mute? There we go. Better. Okay, so I'm going to talk about the Outlook window for a moment. Typically, when you open up Outlook, you may be looking at your main display like we see here. What we're going to start with is just a basic setup. Most of how you can control Outlook can be found in your menu bar under the View. And it's very intuitive. Hey, I want to control what I'm seeing. I'm going to click on View. I'm not going to go through all the details here. The main things is over on Layout. We'll talk about this. The folder pane is this deal up on the left. I could turn it off, and you notice the left-hand side, that folder pane goes away. I could turn it back on. Right, on and off. Same thing over here with the reading pane. Some people like the reading pane. Some people don't like the reading pane. I like it because it allows me to preview messages without having to double-click and open them up. So, yeah, it speeds up my email processing day. Again, it's an on or off. You can turn it off. You can turn it on. You can move it to the bottom, below the messages. Okay? That's a preference, and again, that's just on the reading pane. I like keeping mine to the right. We also have something called a to-do bar. Now, the to-do bar is actually kind of cool in 2016. In the old ways, or the old days of Outlook, you had tasks. You could create task lists, and I can show you guys how to do tasks, but you can display them. So I'll create a new task. Have Outlook training. Okay, now I have a task. Something I have to do, and I can check it off when I'm done. So I can make my view, that to-do bar, show me tasks. I can let it show people as well. If I have any contacts, I can show down here. I can also show my calendar. Move this up. So I can show my calendar. I can show tasks. I can show persons that I have as favorite contacts. I can add them here. I personally don't use this too often anymore, really, but hey, you may find it very useful to be able to have a quick view of the month here, rather than having to go back, oh, let me check my calendar and see something. Oh, April 22nd, that's Friday. Much easier if you can do it sometimes and just glance it here. So that's a helpful little tip in Outlook 2016, something you can do. You also have a people pane, which shows down over here below the message. What the people pane is, shows you information about the person who sent you the message. It'll show you all mail that you've received from that person, any attachments that you've received from that person, as well as any meetings that you've had with that person or have scheduled with that person as well as their date and time. So that can be really useful. It may not be something that you need to keep on all the time, but my gosh, that's really useful if I can turn on the people pane and come here and see all the correspondence that I've received from this one person. Oh, someone sent me an attachment. I don't have to go drilling through all their messages. I could just click here and find all the attachments that they sent me. Oh, I know we had a meeting. When was that? Click on meetings, and if you had one, it'll show up. So the people pane, really, really great to use. Again, you can turn it on or off as needed. The other very useful feature in this view panel for Outlook 2016 that I personally like is a conversation view. Does a conversation view do a lot? Well, it depends if you've had a lot of replies. I don't know if I have a lot of replies going back and forth here. That's going to really make a whole big difference here. But if I turn it on and off, this folder, there you go. Here's a good example from Nina. You see now I have this little chevron here, and I can click on it and expand out the conversation. Everything related to last night's meeting that Nina and I and others have discussed is in that conversation thread, which is kind of how most email clients now, like Google and Yahoo, everything defaults to conversation, but you can turn it on or turn it off, as needed. There's that message from Nina, here's that message from Nina. Two separate places. Again, I can turn on the conversation for this folder, and now our conversation is grouped. I find that very useful. Hopefully you like it too. All right, so that's the basics of the view menu. Another important thing on the menu is if you go to the File menu, you're taken to what they have termed in Outlook, and don't ask me why they call it this, but it is the backstage view. This is what you see backstage, behind the scenes. And there are a couple of important things that you can do here. Now I'm going to have to close this out and open up my Outlook in a moment, simply because you can't see certain things here because I'm connecting to a Hotmail or a webmail account. If I can switch, let me close this out for a second. Exit and send later. I'm going to open up mine just to show you, because the backstage view does vary. There we go. In an Exchange or Office 365 environment, you may notice there are a couple additional buttons here under the Info tab. So this is what I want to talk about. You can do a lot of what we want to discuss today right from this window. We're not going to mess with account settings, though you can change your picture if you want. I'm not going to deal with that. You click change. If you have a picture that you've downloaded on your PC, you can point to a picture. Yay. You and your colleagues get to see what you look like if they don't already know. The important thing here, we'll come back to out-of-office replies in a second. Mailbox settings. We all, as Office 365 subscribers, get 50 gig mailboxes. Now, I know you say, but wait, Neil, that says 49.5 gigs. Well, we're rounding. It's not exactly 50 gigs because of the way math works out, but we can call it 50 gigs. I have 42 gigabytes free, so, do the math. I'm using about 7 gigs in my mail. If that number starts creeping up, where I'm getting close to that 40, 45, and I need to say, oh, my God, why? There are a couple things you can do. Honestly, the fastest, easiest thing, empty your deleted items bin. All right, that usually helps. Go through sent items and see what you could purge out. Typically what happens, I send somebody an attachment. Now that attachment is sitting in my sent items, adding to the size of my mailbox consumption. So those are quick things, but the Tools button here allows you to do some of that, just as we're talking about. Empty your deleted item folders. Clean up, take old stuff and move it into an archive file. which if you're going to do, please discuss with us first. We don't want people having archive files on their local PCs. We can arrange an online archive for you. What that is, it just creates another folder in Outlook. That's your old data. You know, you can say, hey, I want to archive everything that's 5 years old or older and get it out of my main mailbox and put it into this separate folder. All right, you can do that. You can use some mailbox cleanup tools. The mailbox cleanup tools helps you do that. You can find messages older than a certain number of days, or you can find items larger than a certain size. Use the second one, this larger than, that's where you're going to find all your attachments. Okay, so you can search, so say I want to find all messages larger than, and I'm going to say 550 kilobytes, half a meg, hit find. It's going to do a search. I'll pull the search into this window. And as you can see, these all have little paper clips for the most part. So that's where the attachments are. And then I can then decide what I want to do. I could, right-click and delete a message. I can move it into a folder. I could print it and then delete it if I wanted to. So this opens up a quick search for anything with messages larger than. And that's a real useful way of cleaning up your messages, your mailbox, keeping the size down. Again, you get 50 gigs, so it's not the end of the world if you start getting too big. But when you get over to that 40, you're going to start getting alerts from Microsoft that, hey, your mailbox is approaching its limit. You need to start cleaning stuff up. So this is how you can do that. All right, out-of-office replies. We know them, we see them, we love them, we use them all the time. I'm going on vacation, I'm going to a training, I'm going to be in court for the next couple days, whatever it might be. And you want to send an auto alert. So you come over to the file menu, you come to the backstage, and you go to automatic replies out of office. Now, there's a couple very simple settings you make here. A, you're not sending or you are sending. If you're going to send, do you want to send only for a specific period of time? In other words, it'll turn it off automatically for you. I used to not do that, and then I would forget, and people would say, hey, Neil, your out of office is on, and it's already like, a week and a half later. Kind of felt a little silly. So you can turn it on and off. Hey, I only want to send from today at 1 till tomorrow at 1. Or, you know what, I'm planning on taking a sabbatical for the next 6 months. I'm going to set it out to there. That'd be nice. There are two options here also. Inside your organization and people outside your organization. The nice thing is with people outside your organization, if somebody sends you something, they should only get this out of office one time. So if they get it, what was happening years ago, this is funny, I saw this when I worked at another law firm. Somebody would have an out of office on, and it would go to somebody who had an out of office on, which would get the message and return their out of office to our user, who's out of office would respond with another out of office to them whose out of office was on, and they'd do a ping pong match of out of offices. So that was several years ago. It's since changed. Somebody sends you an out of office, you get that out of office reply once. It helps that ping pong. So that's really good. You can say, hey, anybody from outside my organization should get this, so a stranger or a vendor that you don't know, or only people who are in your contact list, because you don't want third parties that aren't your friends or associates to know that you're away. Like they say, you should never post that you're on vacation on Facebook, because, people see that you're away, and then all of a sudden your house is broken into. Though we all love to share those pictures of us and Mickey Mouse. So you can do that, again, inside or outside. That's how you do out of office. It's that simple. You notice there's a button here called Rules. That's what you get over here, rules and alerts. And that was another thing that Jerry asked us to go over today. Rules and alerts do two different things. All right, though they are basically found in the same place. An alert is you're going to get some sort of little Outlook pop-up based on a condition. So if I wanted to create, I don't really use alerts, but if I wanted to create one, I have two choices. And this could take a little time. So basically, if it's a web source that I have subscribed to an email from, I can click on this, it'll search, it'll find, or I could type in the web address here, and I bet Outlook is just going to lock on me. Yeah, let me close that out. Hate when that happens. Give it a second here. So alerts basically say when something happens, a condition is met, you're going to get a little pop-up alert in Outlook. Maybe you like using alerts, maybe you don't. Again, I've never been a big alerts fan. Let's do it this way. New alert. I don't have any alert sources, so maybe, if I want an alert when something has changed on, I don't know, www.microsoft.com. Okay, I'd have to find a proper source for alerts. But then anything changes on that site. Basically what we call them is like from RSS news feeds. If you ever subscribe to a news feed, you can feed in alerts. Email rules are really more important. As you can see, I have a bunch of rules here. Probably more than I actually need at this point. I could probably turn off about half of these, but I do have a lot of alerts. Here's a very simple one. Anything from my wife gets flagged in a purple category, so I see a little purple in the ribbon from her, so I know it's from her. There you go. Typically, however, what we do is we say that an alert from a particular address or with particular information in the subject, I want to move it to a particular folder, or I want to delete it, or I want to do something with it. That's how we tend to do rules. To do a rule, we click on New Rule. Okay. There are templates. We have some templates, some very basic setups for us, or you could create from scratch. You want to play sounds. If you have speakers and you don't mind driving your friends and neighbors crazy, you get a message from a particular person, you could play a particular sound, almost like, a custom ringtone, if you will. Send yourself a text message if you get an alert. Even though it's kind of silly nowadays because most people have their email on their phones anyway, so you'll know if you get it. So that one kind of makes no sense to me. It's sort of a holdover from old days. But here, very basic. Move messages from someone into a folder, or move messages with specific words in the subject into a folder. And that's probably, a very good one to start. So I'm going to choose that. Notice down here, step 2, specific words is highlighted. So, what's my specific word that I want to use? Maybe I want to have an alert that says, hey, move anything containing, Philadelphia Circuit Court. I don't know. In the subject. And move it into a folder. What folder do I want to move it into? I don't have a folder set up yet, so I'll just create new. Court cases. I'm just making something up here, obviously. There it is. Hit OK. So now anything that comes in with these words in the subject, it's going to get moved into that folder. If I want to change that, I can click on here. I could add different words, additional words. I could change this. Make that. I could add another condition to it. See? And you can add multiple conditions and move it into that folder. And again, it's just, gives you could apply, verify that everything is right. You can set up some exceptions. In other words, if it's from a specific person or it's marked as important or sensitive, don't process the rule. I want to keep it in my inbox. So you can create exceptions for your rules if you want. They process it unless, this particular condition is met. Then don't. Give it a name. Turn it on. Hit finish. And you've just created a rule. If you want to get rid of the rule, you select it and you delete it. And that's all there is to it. It's that simple to create rules. That's how you do a rule. Okay, if you need more information on it, I'm happy to create a little guide or send you, some information on how you can get guides for rules. They happen to be pretty cool things. Okay, that's one other thing I want to talk about here. Also, that kind of comes into this play is something called quick steps. These are quick steps right up here. What is a quick step? A quick step is, if you will, like a macro for common use tasks. Like, I'll give you a good for instance. Okay, here's a message from one of my coworkers to one of our clients regarding their wireless system. I like to keep all messages relating to a particular client in their particular folder. Like I have one for you guys. I like to keep one for everybody. It just makes my life easier. So, under normal circumstances, if I'm done with this message, I may decide to just drag it into the particular client folder. And that's easy enough to do. I could create a quick step. I'm sorry, I think I hit the wrong thing there. New quick step. To move it to a folder, move to IHB, move it to a folder. What folder do I want to move it to? I'll browse to the folder that I would like to go to and finish. Now, I don't have to drag this. I don't have to come over here and move to and find. All I have to do is hit this little button right there. Boom, it's done. I have one called Team Email. Right? This is a default. It comes in by default. I can specify who I want to send it to. So if I want to send it to my entire DC team, that's everybody in my company. Now, anytime I want to send a message to everybody, rather than having to go new message and who I want to send it to, I just click this, and there it is. Quick steps. Things that you don't create quick steps for everything. I mean, you could if you want to. But very, very nice to be able to create quick steps for common use things that maybe would normally take 3-4 steps. You sort of make a programmatic macro button, if you will, that allows you to do it all in one step. So that's what quick steps are, and that's really why they're very good. And that was something Jerry had asked about me talking. Signatures. Everybody, raise your hand if you like signatures, if you use signatures. Yep. Oh, boy, Bethany did not raise her hand. So how do we do signatures? Set up signatures, we return back to our backstage. And you have to come down to options. You can configure a whole lot of stuff in options, far beyond the amount of time we have for today to go through it all. But talk about a couple things here. I mean, you could change your color and backgrounds in Office. It's, cute. Not going to get that. You can change your name, your initials, lots of different things. The important thing here is we come to Mail. And in Mail, we'll take a second as we work our way down to signatures. I do want to talk about this. Here's where your spell check is, if you want to do spell check before you send messages. You can turn it on or off right there. There's some additional settings for spell check if you came to spelling and autocorrect that you can turn on and off. Not really dealing with that today, but just to kind of show you. Okay, so here, create or modify signatures for messages. So again, go back, we go to the File menu, we go to Options, Mail, because it's related to Mail, and then there's the signatures. So we click on Signatures, and here we have signatures. So let's say hypothetically we don't have any signatures, or I have it, I want to create a new one. You click New. Give a name for the signature. I'm going to call this Neil. Now I have a new space for a blank signature, and I can start typing. I always like to say thank you, so I put it in my signature. Put in whatever information I want. Give my web address and my Twitter feed. Oops. There's the signature. I want to format it. Absolutely. I can make this a little smaller and italic. I can make all this a drop smaller. And maybe I want to make that bold. We can go through all the formatting stuff. I don't think that's really necessary. But now I have it, and I can decide, is this my signature that I always want to use? Or maybe I want to make it my reply signature. Do I not want to include signatures automatically when I reply or create a new message? I don't have to. I like to because, to me it makes life a little easier. But you certainly don't have to. Oops, this is Neil. I know people, they have signatures, they have, 7, 8 different signatures based on who they're responding to or what the situation may be. Secretaries who handle correspondence for multiple attorneys may have signatures that say, secretary for such and such attorney on one signature and secretary for such and such other attorney on another signature, and then this way they just pick the one that they need. Seen that done all the time. Once I'm done, I hit OK. I've now saved my signature. Click OK again. And to test it out, I'm going to hit a reply up, and there is my new signature. If I forgot to include a signature, let's talk about this for a second. New message. And I forgot to put in my signature. Here's my message. And oh, I forgot to put in my signature. I can pick it right from here. Which one do I want? I want my new one. I want the one I just created. I want my other one. Okay. Choices. Lots of choices. So you can just pick it straight from there, and it changes every time. All right? So that's really cool. Another thing that's really cool I want to show you while I am here, and we're looking at this, is this. Wow, what is that you're showing me, Neil? I've never seen that before. You're blowing my brain. What is this? Okay, we know, we're all used to Chris talking very loudly behind me. We know how to add an attachment. We create a message, we have a document, and we want to add it to an email. We all know that we can hit, attach, and we can browse and find the file that we're looking for, Okay, there's my attachment. Wonderful. That's the old way of doing things. The new way of doing things in 2016 is pulling them from the drop-down. Office keeps track of your most recently used or opened files. PowerPoint, HTML files, PDFs, perhaps if you have, Word docs, Excel files, your most recent list. So if I've created a document and I've edited in Word and I've saved it and I closed it out and I have some lunch, I take care of some other stuff, I come back, I now need to email it. When I hit the attached file and it gives me the list, the file that I was working on will be right there for me. I don't have to go searching for it. I don't have to reopen it up in Word. Where did I save it? Let me open up Word and send as an attachment. It's right here. Boom. So that's a really, really cool feature in Outlook 2016 is the ability to just pull your attachments from this most recently used file list. Makes life very, very simple. As far as opening and saving attachments, I don't know how much we need to get into that. Typically, Outlook now has viewers for certain types of files, like Word docs. I don't have a PDF viewer installed for certain security concerns and whatnot. I'm a little paranoid. I'm bad that way. But PowerPoint, there you go. There's PowerPoint viewer. So I don't even have to open up the attachment in PowerPoint. I have an Office. It's an Office application. It's got a viewer built into Outlook. I can just click on the attachment in the message and scroll right through it. Ain't that cool? Okay, to me that just some of these new features like that just really, really help. But now I'm clicked on this attachment. Notice in my toolbar, I have some options. I could print just the attachment. Not the message, the attachment. I could save the attachment. Let's say they sent me multiple attachments, which I got from my daughter's band director because they have a trip to Virginia Beach this week. Band concert. I have 3 attachments here. I could save them all with one little click. And where do I want to save them to? Pick a place, save them to my desktop, wherever, and I could save them. This way they're out of my email. Now, they're not out of my email yet. I would then want to remove the attachment. You cannot remove multiple attachments yet. I have to highlight them all and then remove. There's no remove all attachments button just yet. Hopefully the next release, because that's always something I think would be good. Because really, from an email management standpoint, and we talked about mailbox size earlier, why keep attachments in your email? You have ATO, document management systems. You have OneDrive or SharePoint if that's when we start looking to build that. There are better places for keeping attachments than email. Get them into your document management system, associate them with your client and your matters. Get them out of your email. Save them, and then remove the attachment. Always the best thing to do. Okay? Cool. All right. Let's take a moment and talk about contacts and calendars. In Outlook 2016, what you're going to notice is that down at the bottom, over here, we have our calendar. And contacts is no longer called contacts. It's called people. Right? People. Those people. And there are different ways you can view your contacts. You can view it as individual people. You could look at the business cards for everybody, a card file view, a phone book kind of directory, which is very similar to the list view. Just different ways you can see. It's the same information, just presented to you differently. Now, one thing very important to understand about contacts. This is your contact list. Everybody in Outlook has a default contact list. This is not the company address book. That's stored up on the Office 365 mail system. This is a personal contact list that you get to create and maintain. This contact list is what is going to synchronize to your mobile device, to your phones. All right, if you synchronize contacts, it will be this list. So if you have somebody in the office that you'd like to synchronize, you have to add them to your contact list. Okay, that's important. Okay, I like business card view personally. I can see a lot. Now, how do you create contacts? Well, simple. If I'm in my contacts, I can create a new contact. I can create a new group of contacts, that's called the distribution group, and I add contacts, so, send to the group, goes to everybody. That's a nice thing. It's pretty simple. I want to show you another way to do it, a couple other ways to do it. From my inbox, obviously when I'm in my mail, the new button, and this is how it's always been in Outlook, is new email. If I'm in my calendar, the new button becomes new appointment. If I'm in contacts or people, it's a new contact. That always changes, based on, where you are. But you can always go to new items no matter where you are and choose what you want. So I want to create a new contact. So from scratch, I can create a contact. Now I don't think we need to go through all the intricacies. I mean, we know how you can type in a name, the company, job title, email addresses, phone numbers, all that other stuff. I mean, it's all right there. You can put, notes into the notes field. Yeah, I think we've all have used contacts at some point or another. A couple of interesting things, though. Let me just fill one out. A19317. Map it. There we go. Opens it up in Bing Maps, and there's a picture of our lovely office. Okay, that's really nice, because now I can get directions if I wanted to, just opening it up directly from within Outlook. Simply by clicking, once I have an address, clicking Map It. It opens it right up in Bing Maps. So I think that's kind of cool. I don't usually create contacts, however, in that manner. The easiest way to create a contact is from a message. Right? I mean, that makes sense. That's the easiest way to create a contact. Somebody sends me an email. I'd like to add them to my contact list. Maybe it's for marketing, for sales, for whatever purpose. Easiest way to do it, here's a message from my daughter's band director. I can simply right-click on his name, add him to my contacts. Automatically fills in whatever information. I can put in some other stuff. He's the band director at AI DuPont Jazz, Red Clay Consolidated. If I have other information, if I want to put in his phone number, his address, his birthday, if I want to remember to send him a greeting card, I can add notes here, whatever it might be, and hit save. I've just added him as a contact. I can now schedule a meeting with him. I can email him. I could open up his contact card and add additional information or change it just however I want. So again, let me show you that in case you missed it. You can simply right-click and add to Outlook contacts. If you already have a contact for somebody, I have one for Liliana, I don't have the option to add to contacts. I have the option to edit the contact. Okay? So you can do that. So that's an easy way of knowing if somebody's already in your contact list or not. Did I add that person? Didn't I? I don't recall. Well, I'd simply right-click, and if add is there, then they're not in. If edit, then they are. Nice, simple, easy ways to add people to your contacts. Now, when the time comes to create contact groups, again, new group. Give a name to the group. So I'm going to call this, Outlook Training Group. All right, there's no other email address called Outlook Training Group at my domain. Is this public or private? In other words, do I want anybody in my company to have access to this group, or only myself and who I approve? Hit OK. It's going to set up my group for me, and then I'll be able to add contacts to it once a group is set up. It can take a little longer these days because when you do groups, it goes through things a little differently. So add people. So let's say I want to add Chris. There he is. I can add him. He's now a member. I want to add Tim. Don't ask me to explain that. I couldn't even if I wanted to. And support team or ML training. There we go. I've just created a group. It's public now. It's shared amongst my organization, so other people in my organization could now take advantage of using that group. It's pretty cool the way that works. And again, here's my contacts. I can change my view. For instance, again, there really isn't a reading pane here or anything that I want to do. But one thing that's people are always asking me, I go back to my view setting, go back to my contacts, and if I go to list, how do I know or how do I see my groups? Okay, groups are always going to be bolded. Okay, and that's a nice, easy way here. If I'm looking here in list view, it just makes it easier. Groups will always be in bold, and they will have that little icon, so it makes it very easy. So if you want to modify a group, for instance, you can open it up. You You can add members, remove members. Very straightforward to do. Another example. Add members, remove members. I can email the group. I could set up a meeting with the group. I could add some notes. Whatever. Second Tuesday. Put a little note. Save the note, close it, boom. All right, so you can do all that kind of stuff directly with groups. Very, very simple to do. If I have a contact and I want to forward it, hey, somebody's asked me, hey, can you send me their contact information? There you go. Forward the contact information to somebody else. As a business card or an Outlook contact, if you don't know if they have Outlook or not, using a business card is always the best. And there we go. Now I can send my buddy Dennis's contact information to somebody else, so they can call his company and start doing business as a referral. So if somebody asks you, hey, could you send me such and such's information? Find their contact, forward as a contact. Forward to the contact. It's that simple. Okay, as we are nearing the end of our time, I want to make sure I go through calendars and meetings. This is my calendar, so obviously you can see if I was billing by the hour, I'd probably be in much better shape than I am right now. Really, when you're dealing with a calendar, there are a couple different ways you can view things. This is old school, old stuff. You can look at your day, your work week, Monday through Friday, your week, including the weekends, a month view, or your schedule view. I hate the schedule view in this version of Outlook personally. I find it very hard to make heads or tails out of because it goes horizontal rather than vertical like we're used to in other applications. I don't use it too much. The day view gives me that same thing, but in that vertical list that I just kind of like to see. But that's just me. Okay, so anyway, let's talk about some of the things we do in the calendar. One of the things is you can create a new Skype meeting like we're doing now. I want to invite some people to a Skype meeting. So I create a Skype meeting. I already have it pre-configured with some options, my company information and logo, and there's a link for them to join the Skype meeting. I could set the date and time, who I want to send it to, the subject, just like we did for our seminar today. That's how you do it in Outlook, just a new Skype meeting. Pretty sweet. But really, what are you going to do? You're going to create a new appointment, or you're going to create a new meeting. Those are really the two things you do for calendars. Appointments or meetings. Appointments are personal. They're the you. Oh, I have a doctor's appointment. Oh, I have an appointment with a client coming in. It's something that you're involved with. A meeting is something that you have to invite other people to in your office. And that other person could be if we've set up a mailbox for the conference room, and you want to be able to schedule the conference room so you know if it's available or not. You could use a meeting request. Meetings, again, are things that involve multiple people, and that's what I want to talk about. Appointments are very basic, but there are certain things in the meetings that you may not be aware of. So let's say I'm going to create a meeting for myself with Chris and with Tim. And the subject, we're going to talk about, Windows 10 updates. Just going to upgrade you guys to Windows 10. And I'm going to say I'm going to do it in the conference room. Okay. Now, I want to have this meeting tomorrow at 9 a.m. Well, we'll say 9 a.m. And we'll say it'll go for 10. Pretty basic. It's telling me right here I'm getting a little quick tip from Outlook that it's this time, if I'm going to do 9 to 10, it's adjacent to another appointment, so I have to be careful that I don't run late because I have something else close to it. And that's kind of cool. Notice over here on the right-hand side, I have a room finder. If we have resource rooms, we have one conference room. Scheduling it is kind of pointless. But if I had multiple rooms, I can use my room finder and see if there was an available room for my meeting. And because I have another appointment close to this one, it's saying, well, you know what? You don't have any conflicts here. Here's some alternate suggestions for you that may be better. I see Tim's got an appointment from 8 to 9, so this one, could interfere. I have a conflict tomorrow from 9:30 to 10:30, so maybe that time is not so great. So I'm getting some suggested times here. That's a new feature of 2016. That's kind of cool. A couple other things. If I click up here on the meeting button, this has been around for a long time. This should not be groundbreaking to anybody, but in case you're not aware, I can turn off that room finder, by the way, if I don't like it. Yeah, it goes away. I can use a scheduling assistant. If you didn't see that under the meeting, we hit scheduling assistant. The scheduling assistant allows me to do several things. A, it allows me to look at each person's calendar for the particular time of our call. And as you see right now, we're all open between 9 and 10 tomorrow. I can see that Tim has an appointment. He's booked at 8 o'clock and he's booked at 11. I can see that I'm booked from 10 to 12. Chris is wide open. I give him more work to do. Okay, I can easily see who's available, who's not. If I needed to find a better time, I could do that right here. Oh, you know what? Maybe it's safer if we do this at 2 o'clock. So I'm going to move my meeting to 2 o'clock. Right, nobody has anything going on there. So I can do that very, very easily. You know what? Maybe I see Chris is, maybe has something going on. If he can make it, great. I'm going to make him as an optional attendee as opposed to a required attendee. Does it really make a difference? No. But if you're sending somebody and they see that they're required, okay, it tells them they have to be there. If they see they're optional and they have a conflict, they understand there's some latitude that if they can't make it, they'll still have a job when they come in the next day. There's also an option for a resource. If it's like you're reserving a projector or a conference room, in our case, we have a shared automobile for our engineers to share. If somebody's got to go out, they can schedule it and see. So you can add something as a resource room, mark it as just a resource. But that's what the scheduling assistant does. I wanted to add somebody else. Oh, gee, I forgot I need to add the boss. Well, I could come over here and start typing his name. Oh, sorry, I didn't take it, sorry. I have to type his email address. Better yet, I'll just add attendees this way and pull them from my list. I can't type. Okay. So I can add somebody to the appointment. Oh, but I see they have a conflict that time anyway, so it really doesn't matter. So maybe I would make him optional. And once I'm all good, I would hit send. But just a little tip, just a little tip for you if you're going to do these appointments and send them out. Couple things you want to do. Always good to have importance with it. If it's an urgent meeting, if you don't want other people to see the details, you can mark it private. They'll see that there is a date and time, but they won't know if you had anything in the subject matter. In the notes. They won't be able to see that, and sometimes that's maybe required. But here's the most important thing you can do: reminder. I get calendar invites sometimes and people didn't set a reminder on it, and then they get mad. Hey, why didn't you come to the meeting? Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't have a reminder. I got tied up on a phone call or something else. Nothing popped up in Outlook to remind me that I had this appointment. Please make sure you always put a reminder on the event. Whether you want to do it 2 weeks out or 5 minutes beforehand. 15 is the default. Always a good idea to make sure you set the reminder. I was going to cancel this. Right. That is how you do an invitation or a meeting request. Okay, well, it's 2 o'clock, so that kind of covers everything. Just as a reminder, you can always get some more information. We have this set up for you guys. If you go to dorsetconnects.com/training_center, or you can go to support.office.com. It'll show you the Technology Training Center here. If you haven't seen this already, and you want some information on Outlook training, for instance, we have the Outlook 2016 Quick Start Guide that you can download and use. There's a link to Microsoft training that you can certainly get to. That link, incidentally, is right here. It's also right here. So if you go to the support pages, it's almost the same thing. So hey, I want Microsoft to provide me some Outlook training. Get your hands on it based on the version, if you're using it on the Mac or the Droid. Like, this is all the same stuff. The Microsoft gives you some step-by-step, as well as the videos, which is what we have, which is what we're pointing you guys to here. We like to leverage Microsoft, but in all honesty, remembering this URL is going to be kind of tough. Oops. So that's why you can just come here and go to the Outlook training. Okay. That's it. I know it's 2 o'clock. If you do have any questions and you want to put them into the chat window, please feel free to do so. Otherwise, as we've said previously, email them to me, tweet them to me at ITBuddy, or call me, and happy to answer any questions that you might have. Okay. So again, that's it. If you have a question and want to pop it into the chat, great. If not, thanks for coming. Thanks for playing. And we'll see you next week, or whenever the next training is. All right. Thank you, Jerry. You all have a great, great day.